Hello, everyone. My name is Ryan Gregory, and today we'll be joined by Nick Sariego, Anthony Zaccardi, Justin Kramer, Elizabeth Coriel, and Mohammed Kazaz on the analysis of Qatar for the purpose of educating our expatriate as they prepare to go on a mission abroad. We'll first begin with Nick giving us an introduction on the country of Qatar.
The background on the country of Qatar. Qatar is an independent emirate located on the west side of the Persian Gulf Coast and shares its borders with Saudi Arabia. The dominant language spoken in Qatar is Arabic, and the most practiced religion is Islam. Compared to the United States, Qatar is a relatively small country. They have a population of 3 million people, roughly a million people less than the population of Los Angeles, California. Additionally, the land area of Qatar is slightly smaller than the state of Connecticut, or for better reference, 40 times smaller than the state of California. However, where Qatar lacks in size, they make up for in its economy. They are regarded as one of the world's wealthiest nations because of their abundant natural gas and oil reserves. Qatar exports most of its natural gas and oil to countries such as Britain, Germany, Russia, and countries in Asia. As a result, Qatar in 2021 had a GDP per capita of $61,000, closely following the United States, which boasts a GDP per capita of $67,000 in that same year. However, Qatar did not always have a wealth of success that they are experiencing today. In 1971, Qatar was a desolate and poor country located far away from the United Kingdom. The lonely place was almost uninhabitable for people because of the lack of resources like food and water and scorching temperatures that would reach 122 degrees Fahrenheit on average during the summer. What brought Qatar to the pinnacle that it has reached today is its natural resources such as oil and gas reserves. Next, we will move on to natural resources. According to the United States Geographical Survey study, Qatar has been a major producer of aluminum, crude petroleum, direct reduced iron, helium, and natural gas. However, its most abundant natural resource is its natural gas reserves, which accounted for 5.1% of global exports. When turned into liquefied natural gas, or LNG, Qatar is responsible for exporting 30% of the world's largest LNG. Qatar can keep up with these high export percentages because of the quantity of natural gas in its reserves. Reserve amounts of natural gas are estimated to be 24.3 trillion cubic meters, and as a result have made their country extremely wealthy. Qatar's natural gas reserves comprise 13% of the world's reserves, making them the largest natural gas holder in the Middle East, only behind Iran. Oil is another significant resource that Qatar produces and later exports to various countries. According to the worldatlas.com, Qatar has an estimated 15 million barrels of oil reserves and gas fields, accounting for 1.5% of the world's oil reserves. Next, we'll be looking at the key sustainability initiatives that is being implemented by the country of Qatar. Qatar has been laying the groundwork for more sustainable strategies to implement in the next couple of decades. In a report on Qatar's current state of sustainability, written by the US Qatar Business Council, they document some key sustainability initiatives to look forward to shortly. For example, Qatar will be hosting the FIFA World Cup in 2022, and at the forefront of their preparations will be delivering the first ever carbon neutral FIFA World Cup. Instead of using traditional ways of producing energy, Qatar will be both powering the Education City Stadium and Al Bayt Stadium with solar energy. Kahramaa, Qatar's utility company, is currently building a solar energy plant to power the entire World Cup. And once the World Cup is finished, the plant will stay in commission, providing the citizens of Qatar with carbon-free energy for years to come. However, this isn't the only solar plant that Qatar has planned for the future. The independent emirate wants to add to its solar arsenal 4 more 800 gigawatt solar energy plants and lower CO2 emissions significantly. To put 800 gigawatts into perspective, only a single gigawatt of power can provide energy to 750,000 homes. And as a result, this project can give carbon zero energy to approximately 600 million homes by 2035.
International trade and investment. Currently, Qatar is the 39th ranked exporter in the world, with natural gas and oil being their top exported good. According to Global Edge, as of 2019, trade exports are valued at $72 billion and trade imports are valued at $29 billion. Qatar is an important trade partner with the United States, with main exports to the U.S. to Qatar being aircraft, electrical machinery, general machinery, arms and ammunition, and vehicles, making Qatar the United States' 37th largest goods export market in 2019. Qatar was the United States' 66th largest supplier of goods, with top categories being mineral fuels, aluminum, fertilizers, and inorganic chemicals. According to StateGov, since 2015, Qatar has invested heavily into U.S. real estate and asset-heavy retail, and is seeking to diversify its investments with expansion into technology and healthcare sectors, with a commitment of more than $45 billion to American infrastructure.
For our cross-cultural differences, we found that Qatar's culture is very different than the US's. For starters, their culture is highly focused on religion. The main religion is Islam, or to be more precise, Wahhabi Islam, and the second highly followed religion is Muslim. Citizens of Qatar practice their religion through daily prayers, fasting, reading the Quran, and even taking on a pilgrimage at least once in their life. These ideas are taught from a very early age. Qatar's education system is gender segregated from an early childhood until college. This results in women and men taking on different jobs once they are older. Women take on lower government jobs or go into education and healthcare industries, while men take on higher positions. Another cultural difference in Qatar is that women and men follow certain clothing guidelines because they are an Islamic country. Women are supposed to dress with their full body covered, including their head. They wear a headpiece called a shaila and a long cover called an abaya. Men wear a long white shirt, loose pants, and a loose headdress. These are very traditional clothing and are required for all citizens to wear. The last main cultural difference is that marriage is taken very seriously. Marriages in Qatar take place in the Sharia court. The first thing that is needed for a marriage is that a woman needs to obtain permission from their male guardian in order to marry. If a Qatari man wishes to marry a non-Qatari woman, they must go through a process and get approved by the marriage committee.
Thank you, Liz. The political and legal systems of a country are very important to how the country works and how businesses can run inside of it. At the top of their government, they have an emir and a prime minister. They are responsible for the decisions of the government. The emir is a chief executive and it is a hereditary position, so there is a family that stays in power. Next is the prime minister who oversees the government. This is a person who is appointed by the emir. The judicial branch consists of the Court of Cassation and the Supreme Constitutional Court. Both of these courts will interpret Sharia law and make decisions based on that. Lastly, there is an advisory board. Some of them are elected by the monarch and 30 are elected by popular vote. They serve 3-year terms and have the power to approve budgets, monitor ministers' performance, and propose legislation. Next, we can talk about the legal system. In Qatar, they follow Sharia law. This comes from the Quran and it is Islamic law. What does this mean? If you break a law, you may experience punishments such as flogging or stoning. Women have less rights, as one man's vote is equal to half a woman's vote. All of these rules come from the Quran, but it is not easy to read, so you must turn to a religious advisor for guidance. This legal system is worlds different than the US, but if you want to begin business over there, you need to remember some things. There are no workers' protection laws, so your employees aren't as safe as they would usually be. All of the laws are based on religion. This can cause some confusion as you might not be well versed in Islamic religion. It would also be good for you to remember that women's rights are not the same as they are in the United States, so you shouldn't put females in danger if possible. Overall, Qatar's legal and political system is very different than the United States and should be researched heavily before beginning business.
Thank you, Justin, for the insight on the political and legal system of Qatar. I'll now discuss the important aspects of intellectual property rights in Qatar. Intellectual property in Qatar is protected on a yearly basis, much like the United States. Patents in Qatar are protected for 20 years. Trademarks protected for 10, with renewal allowed after the time period. Copyrights are protected for life plus 50 years. Where the separation lies while comparing the two countries is in how easy it is for one to register intellectual property. For some time, the process was difficult as there was no online registration for intellectual property in the growing age of the internet. Recently, Qatar has begun using the WIPO's resources to streamline the process online and in turn making it much more cost effective. As of 2018, Qatar has also joined the Rome Convention on the Protection of Performers. This change is a stepping stone in increasing IP rights in all fields of business and creativity for the Qatari people, as well as foreign investors. Qatar also continues to hold their position in the Patent Cooperation Treaty, which is crucial in IP protection for international companies with assets in Qatar.
Okay, now it's time for the economic and socioeconomic differences between Qatar and the United States. Now, Qatar, despite it still being a small developing country, whereas the United States is a developed country, Qatar has the highest GDP per capita in the world. So the United States can't really beat it there. Another thing is that Qatar has the highest GNI, has one of the highest GNI per capita, which is the gross national income per capita. And when converted to the purchasing power parity using the global bank, Qatar ranks higher than the United States, which means that its currency and its economy is a little higher value than the United States economy. Another thing is, when you're in Qatar, you know that right away work is not a hard thing to come by. With just an unemployment rate of 3.4%, a lot of the population is already working. Whereas the United States, it's only getting higher with 8.3%. And in Qatar, another thing about you working there is you have zero income tax. That means every dollar you make working goes straight to you. There's no taxation, nothing like that. Every hard-earned dollar you get goes straight into your pocket. Whereas in the United States, depending on which state you live in, you might get taxed differently, and you still have the federal tax on top of that. So taxes on top of taxes for the United States. Another thing is, for Qatar, the inflation rate is actually negative, which means its currency value is getting stronger every year, which means you could get something for $1 more next year than you could last year, if that makes sense. Whereas in the United States, the inflation rate is at an all-time high, it just keeps getting higher. Another thing is, Qatar only has a population of 2 million people, which means you can't really fully compare it to the United States, because the United States has a whole population of about 320 million. If you really want to do a great comparison between the sizes of the country and the United States, you could compare it to a city like Chicago, which has 2.7 million people. Another thing is, the United States has around 30% of its population between the ages of 22 to 24, whereas in Qatar, 70% of its population is between 22 to 54. So those are just some of the economic and socioeconomic differences between the two countries.
While cross-examining the differences between Qatar and the United States, we have been able to come up with some recommendations that we will give to the expatriate before they begin their international corporate journey. While an expatriate is on their mission in Qatar, it's important to realize that they are in a culture based on Islam, and people take their religion very seriously there. And their commitment to their religion can likely be seen in the workplace as well. And the expatriate will have to accommodate anyone who needs a break throughout the day to either pray or break their fast for the first time that day. As a result, it would be important for the expat to study the Islamic culture beforehand and understand their daily customs of their people. Another key recommendation that we would give to our expatriate is to learn the legal system of Qatar. Firstly, Qatar is ruled by a hereditary monarch, the emir, who makes most decisions based on the Quran's rule called Sharia law. Therefore, the expatriate should be advised of these legal differences and study Islamic law and see what their law states about running a corporation or business in an Islamic state.
Thank you, Nick, for sharing our recommendations for the expatriate on their mission. To conclude, our group found that it is important to recognize how the many different variables in life as an expatriate in Qatar can affect business success. One important aspect includes the legal system and the practice of Sharia law in the country. Because this system is much different than the common law we practice in America, it can be confusing for foreigners, and seeking help will be necessary. The second biggest takeaway we had through our research was the widely different culture of Qatar. The Qatari people are very faithful in their religion and take it extremely seriously, which is less common in the United States to see. Lastly, and most important to understand, is the segregation of men and women, not only in the workplace, but in the education system as well. We believe that the understanding of the legal and socioeconomic differences in the country of Qatar will be a driving factor for success as an expatriate. This concludes our presentation, and we appreciate your time.